Hello, grade 7 students. Today we're starting Heartbeat short story by David Yu. And let's talk a little bit about short story elements before we start our story. Now, each short story has many elements, okay? But the main parts or the main elements of that short story is the setting, characters, plot, conflict, point of view, and theme. And we all know that setting means place and time of that short story, and sometimes the weather conditions, and sometimes it's the atmosphere of the whole story. Okay, now we're talking about a little bit about the characters. What are the characters inside the story? The character is a person or sometimes even an animal who takes part in the action of a short story or a piece of literary work. Main characters, those who are most important in the story. Minor characters, usually static or unchanging, like they are secondary characters, okay? They are unimportant. And we know we have protagonists and antagonists sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. We have the plot. The plot is the sequence of events in story or play, okay? We have parts of a plot where the exposition, where the starting of the action, and then the action rises and it reaches its climax and it falls and it reaches its resolution or solve of the problem, etc. And sometimes okay, important in the story. Minor characters, usually static or unchanging, like they are secondary characters, okay? They are unimportant. And we know we have protagonists and antagonists sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. We have the plot. The plot is the sequence of events in story or play, okay? We have parts of a plot where the exposition, where the starting of the action, and then the action rises and it reaches its climax and it falls and it reaches its resolution or solve of the problem, etc. And sometimes okay, sometimes denouncement, okay? Now the conflict. Now, an example of external conflict, man versus man, like a type of conflict where one character in the story has a problem with one or more of other characters, as I told you, like you and your friend. And we have man versus society, a type of conflict where a character has a conflict or problem with some element of society, like the school, again, as I told you, the law, the accepted way of doing things, and so on. Sometimes stereotypical actions, we can consider them like external conflicts, okay? The third example that comes to my mind is man versus nature. Sometimes you have conflicts with nature, like a type of conflict where a character has a problem with some natural happenings, like snowstorm, uh, bitter cold, and any elements common to nature, right? And of course, each story has a theme, has a lesson, has a message to deliver. What's the theme? The theme is the controlling idea or the central insight. It's the author's underlying meaning or main idea that he's trying to convey. The theme may be the author's thoughts about a topic or view of human nature. Okay, now let's move to the Heartbeat story, short story by David Yu. Let's talk in brief about the author. Korea. He was the only Korean American student among German and Saudi Arabian classmates. When his family moved to fit in at a stubborn American high school,